Welcome everybody back to Two Dudes Views. I'm Quentin Scott, Matt Layton. We're going to change things up a little bit this week. We've been talking about politics. Actually, we took a few weeks off just because life gets busy. We're busy people. We're dads. We have families. We have jobs that are crazy. Just things got in the way for the last couple of weeks. So we're back, not kind of back. Hopefully, we're back for a while. But we're going to change things up. And we're going to actually talk about something else that Matt and I are passionate about. And we kind of alluded to this in our first episode, but we're going to talk about personal finance, just kind of like how to do it, because there's so many different books, podcasts, all kinds of stuff about finance. And really, they all say the same thing. We're probably going to say about 99% of what everybody else out there says. But Matt writes articles usually on a weekly basis, puts them on Substack. So if you don't follow Matt, follow Matt. The link is always in our YouTube bio. But he wrote one that was in response to Warren Buffett, who's one of the most successful investors uh, of the stock market and that has been. Buffett writes a letter every year to his shareholders. And so Warren Buffett owns Berkshire Hathaway, and he writes a letter every year, just kind of giving some wisdom, some advice, and where the company's heading, or maybe where he doesn't know the company's heading, because he's been one to always be candid that some of his best things have always been just luck. And so Matt wrote a good article, and I told him, I was like, man, we need to talk about this because finance is something we're passionate about, something that we've kind of both overcame, made bad decisions when we were younger, have overcome it, and now we both get to be in a position where we still maybe make a bad decision here or there, but we're not in a position where it just craters our whole world. So, Matt, what kind of inspired you even to just write the letter in response? Because you broke it up really well. Buffett's letter is relatively long a lot of times, but you kind of compartmentalized it and put it in some things that spoke to you. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, and it's really almost exactly what you just mentioned, right? You can't even count the number of books and articles and advice there is out there about investing. And at the end of the day, I think they all say exactly the same thing. But the trouble I know I myself get into is analysis paralysis, right? The next one's going to have that great secret that I've been missing that I can apply that's going to, shoot my returns through the roof. And you know what? Really, no. The answer is absolutely no. But what I was really interested in, and again, Buffett writes a letter to his shareholders every single year. There's a pilgrimage to, where is it? Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Probably the only thing they probably double or triple the population of Omaha, Nebraska for the shareholder meeting for Berkshire Hathaway. But anyway, something for like 30 or 40 years. I may be exaggerating, but it feels that way. Warren Buffett's written an annual letter to his shareholders. And, it can be 20, 30, 40 pages long. And he gets into some really detailed, financial investing topics. And my thought was kind of the average everyday person, they may say to themselves, why would I even read this? The most successful investor of all time. He's so far ahead of me, above and beyond what I would even understand. There's nothing in this letter that would help me. But I kind of make the argument that Buffett's entire investing strategy and plan and what he talks about in this letter annually are really everyday common sense items and tactics that one could apply to, you know, not only their investing, their personal finance, and really their everyday life.
Yeah, and you do a great job of talking about number one, just financial discipline and long-term investing, which if anything, Buffett and a lot of people may or may not know Charles Munger was his partner. They were friends for years. Mr. Munger passed away, I think, 2 years ago. And a lot of people were concerned that Warren was going to retire, kind of close the company. He's, I think, God was late 80s, maybe even 90s. And so
Yeah.
he's relatively older than most of the investors he's talking to and pouring wisdom into. But he's always been a proponent of long-term investing. Buy, hold, and wait. Don't let the news scare you. Don't let even the people working at the company scare you. Don't let employees freak you out. Don't do anything. And I don't know if it was in this article or if we were talking, uh, but I read something or heard somewhere that he said one of his worst investments was buying Berkshire Hathaway, which was actually wasn't even an investment firm. It was a textile company. And he thought he would could make it rich in textile. Wound up that's not what he was good at. He was good at investing. I don't know if a lot of people know, and you know this, Coca-Cola was really one of his first big investments, and he's just watched that compound as they've divided investments, split stock. Stock splitting is something where they'll take a stock, you may own 100 stocks, they split it into five, well, then you have 500 stocks. So it dilutes the value, but increases the amount. So that's where you kind of win in the stock split. But I don't know if you want to talk about long-term investing because that's something you've always preached to me. We've been friends for over 15 years. You've always like when I get in the stock market, you're like, now hold, don't panic when you see red come up, don't freak out when you read the news. So what are your thoughts about long-term investing and just sticking with it?
Yeah, Quentin's one of them that can get really enamored with the meme stocks. He followed GameStop for a minute, didn't you?
Yeah, I made a little bit off of it, but I got in too late and got out too early.
Hey, that's the problem with time in the market. But yeah, again, so part of what Warren Buffett likes to talk about is, really that long-term investing strategies that Quentin was alluding to. And there's really, I think, four key key points that comes out of his most recent shareholder letter. First, reinvest your earnings, right? You always hear the phrase pay yourself first. It's just, hey, if you've got some money left over at the end of the month, don't go blow it all on eating out or booze and cigarettes, right? Invest some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Invest back in yourself. Put a little bit of money into the stocks, or we could even go to educate yourself with some of that money. Just reinvest your earnings. If you're making money and you find yourself with some extra, or you get your tax refund, don't just blow it all, right? I mean, you can some, that's fine. I mean, we're not here to say don't spend any money at all. But if you ever are going to be successful in investing, you've got to create the habit and the discipline of reinvesting your earnings, right? Or investing some of your surplus if you can have any, right? And again, that follows right into, you always hear people talk about the power of compounding interest, right? I think they call it the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. And really that's that interest that's built upon interest that you get from saving or reinvesting the earnings that we just talked about. And again, one of the reasons folks don't like some of these long-term investing methods is you've really got to think in decades, not days, right? I mean, you're not going to get rich overnight. Reinvesting your earnings and you know compound interest, you're not going to be a millionaire tomorrow, but you damn sure will be in 20, 30 years, again, if you're if
Yeah.
you're disciplined and you follow these steps. And the last point kind of in this section that came out of his most recent shareholder meeting is really, live below your means, right? Warren Buffett, brags about the fact that he still lives in the house that he bought 30 years ago, right? His car is paid off and, he doesn't trade up often. Again, because you do or can live below your means, this is a fulfilling cycle, right? You live below your means, you've got extra money to invest, you've got some surplus, you can create some compounding interest that then, speeds up the time or speeds up the growth of your investments.
Yeah. Well, Buffett even, I think, went viral with it was a news interview or whatever, but he's got three types of McDonald's orders depending on where the market's. If it's up, he gets, I think, a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. If it's just flat, he gets like a sausage McMuffin. If it's down, he just gets like a bacon biscuit. Like he's spending money, he's tight, or he's super frugal. And so it's kind of funny just to man who's worth several, I think, billions now.
Well,
Uh,
and me and you were talking about this morning on a completely different topic. It's can I can I develop and implement a process and then be disciplined to follow it no matter what the results are, right? If
yeah,
I believe in my process and it's based on information and I make adjustments based upon, what I learn or mistakes or successes I have, but if you implement that process and you're disciplined in following it, success is going to come, right? And then if success comes, why would you mess up that process? If I'm making millions of dollars and I'm buying a sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit every morning, you know what? I'm damn sure going to keep buying that biscuit until that stops working, right? I mean,
yeah,
there may be a little superstition there, but again, it's it's the process that creates the results.
right. Yeah, and let's talk about something. This is something we've always had conversations about, and it really came up when crypto came out. You and I talked about, we understand it. We work for a retail company. We understand products. We've been working in technologically advanced retail companies, so we work with AI, we work with deep data, we deal with a lot of that stuff. But crypto is something that just the world doesn't understand in general. Like we still don't know who the owner of Bitcoin is. Coins are created all the time. XRP is one of those. It's like, is the federal government going to approve it or not? Now that President Trump's in office, it's obvious it's going to. Nothing's moved on it yet. But you wrote in your article, and Warren Buffett always talks about this, but two things that maybe we talk about is invest in what you know and understand, and then own quality companies that have a track record. It's always something you've kind of preached to me. I've always looked up to Matt and his financial savvy and his ability to invest and make great decisions. And I think he has a mentor too. We look up to a guy, Steve Williamson, who's an incredible CFO, but also just in general great at money. But talk about that of investing in what you understand. A lot of people would say, like, invest in what you buy. Like, if you drink Coke, buy Coke stock. If you eat at McDonald's, buy McDonald's. And then also, too, like investing in quality companies who have stood the test of time and aren't mining Bitcoin in mom's basement on three computers that if they crash, the whole coin goes up.
Yeah, no, and I completely follow this, and I like to probably, you know, five to maybe 5 to 8% of any investment dollars. I like to kind of set aside for more speculative investments, whether it be a meme coin or a meme stock or something new and flashy is exciting. I may put some money aside there, but again, 85, 90, 95% of all of my investment dollars go into, again, this is coming straight out of Warren Buffett's shareholder letter, right? Invest in what you understand or know. Quentin said it. If you buy something on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, there's probably millions of other people that are going to be doing that too, and that company's not going anywhere, right? That kind of leads into, those are normally quality companies that have stood this test of time, and you're not going to lose their money. That stock's most likely going to appreciate between 8 to 12% a year. Again, that's kind of back to what we talked about earlier. That's where that compounding interest or compounding growth of those stocks come in. And I would just add two other points, right? Be patient and selective. Warren Buffett says this all the time. If you're lucky enough to have a chunk of money that you've set aside and you want to invest, don't jump in and invest quickly on something stupid, right? Take your time, do your due diligence, study what you're going to invest in, and then make the decision. And that kind of follows into the last point here is like, avoid following the crowd, right? Don't put in $1,000 on something that you heard someone talking about in the break room that nothing about, but Joe Blow's doing it, so by God, let's do it. Or I saw a YouTube video popped up, and this guy was, screaming and yelling about how quickly this was going to go up. I've got to be in today, right? Those are the worst investment decisions you'll ever make, believe me.
Yeah. Or, and let's be honest, you even see a CEO of another company, they've got it. What disposable income? Because some of these guys do, some of these women do, and they're paid by these other companies to say, I'm putting $100,000 in this coin, or I'm putting 100,000 in this company. They're paid that 100,000, or they've made a deal. They're putting in 50, they're getting 50 in equity. It's all going in stock or shareholder equity. They're not really putting in cash. Some people may be actually putting in 100 grand. But when you don't have a disposable income, like I don't want to call any names because the person I want to say, if they get the video, would call us out on TikTok and Instagram and all that. But like you, if you don't have that lifestyle, don't follow it. And most people don't follow their lifestyle anyways. Very few do you see. Like you'll never see a Mark Cuban getting on Instagram saying like I'm putting 100,000 in this coin. No, I mean he's investing smart, he's investing quiet. And maybe that's the last point we talk about, on this one, because we could talk about finance for hours and we
Mhm.
don't want to have a super long episode, but kind of how invest in good quality companies, follow what you know and understand. If you don't know and understand, follow some smart people that know and do what they do. But also, too, you talked about this, be patient. Um, Unpack a little bit more about what it's like to be a patient and quiet investor of just playing the long game. Because I think
Yeah.
that's the hardest for Americans to do is legitimately play the long game.
Well, and I think right now, right, if you look, Buffett's sitting on a record cash pile, hundreds of, I don't even, is it $100 billion or more
Yeah,
in
something he's
cash
sold quite a bit recently. So
that he's sitting on, that he's even the best investor, arguably the best investor in the world, can't find the investments for his dollars, right? And that's what's really tough about it because most folks studying these investments are hard, right?
yeah.
Where do I find the information? What do I look at? Or can I even trust who I'm looking at? So Quentin talked about it. A lot of these people that are the loudest that you're running across online, they're being paid to say what they're saying, right? So it's questionable how much they even believe in the investment that they're talking about because they're being compensated in addition to, or in spite of what that stock or coin, how that value moves, right? So one, what do I look at? Two, can I even trust what it is that I'm reading? And how do I know I'm looking at the right stuff or I'm analyzing this company or this business correctly? That's extremely difficult. And again, that's why a lot of people either don't invest at all or they put their money in on things that they have no clue what it is they're doing. Again, they're following the crowd.
Yeah, and you have financial gurus. So maybe we talk about this next. That you'll just like in the fitness industry, you have in the finance industry, everyone tells you to do a different thing, and you sometimes you'll look up and you've done their step six before you did their step two or three, or you've done something that they say don't ever do this, and you're like, well, it's where I've been putting my time and energy because it works for me and my family. That means their advice doesn't actually match your life, and what they're pitching isn't. They've just found a niche market and audience that they can sell a book and candidly a podcast subscription, probably some resources too. But personal finance isn't hard. Like these things, all these times I see these commercials of like, get this app, download this, use our code, subscribe. It's like just open an Excel spreadsheet, put your bills down and put how much money you make down. Do a simple equation. Equals this cell minus this cell. Is it red or green or red or black? Don't use green, but black. If it's black, you're good. If it's red, you got a problem. You got to stop spending money. So it's not that difficult. We really more talked about investing, but maybe next time we'll talk about.
Yeah, and it's just stick to it. Again, we talked about it earlier. You have to have a process and you have to be disciplined to follow your process. And that kind of leads us into, I think, probably what would be kind of the last set of topics that we got out of the shareholder meeting or shareholder letter. And Quentin talked about it earlier. It's the importance of admitting mistakes, learning from them, and moving on, right? So, if you're investing or personal finance or anything brand new you ever do in your entire life, when you first start out at something, you're going to suck, right? And it's going to be hard. The way you get good at something is to continuously do it, take action, stop, analyze that action. Did it work or did it not, right? Learn from the results, keep doing the things that worked, stop doing, change the things that didn't, but keep on going, right? So, really, uh, acknowledge your mistakes. Quentin talked about it. Buffett now says that he probably shouldn't never have bought the business Berkshire Hathaway. It was a textile business, and he had no clue about what textiles were. And he says he was lucky to spin it into the success that it's been today. Again, we mentioned Charlie Munger, Buffett's old partner, who's since passed away. He says, "Don't thumb suck," which means fix problems quickly. Again, make a decision, do something, but if it created a problem or it didn't work, don't sit and cry about it. Fix it, change it, but move on. Keep going forward. And really, that third one is learn and move on, right? Acknowledge your
Yeah.
mistakes, fix them quick, learn and move on. But again, keep going.
Yeah. And again, we can talk about this forever, so we probably should stop here. That way we don't take everyone's abundance amount of time.
That's right.
But we'll talk about finance more often. We're still going to talk about politics. There's still a lot to come. Right now in Oklahoma, it's kind of just a dead season because we've got gubernatorial candidates putting their name in, but no one's really doing anything as they gear up for the race. And so, but that's just kind of our point. Matt wrote this article, and I really wanted to talk about it. If you haven't read it again, Matt's Substack link will be below. His LinkedIn will be below. You can get all that information. And if you want to connect with either one of us, all of our information will be below. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share with anyone that you might think this would be helpful for. Matt, anything else you want to share?
Nope, that was it.
All right, y'all take it easy.